we on?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the Persons with Disabilities Committee meeting this afternoon. And I'm Commissioner Crew, your current chair. I think we've typically done quick introductions. Todd, isn't that at the beginning?
Yes.
It is.
In this particular case, we just have our guest. And
We understand. I'm doing the introductions.
Okay.
Do you want to start, Katie?
Sure. Start. My name is Kate Turpin. I've been on the committee now for 3 years, and I represent District 2 for Supervisor Joel Anderson.
My name is
Alice Jacobson. This is my 3rd meeting, I think. I'm from I don't remember the district number. District 3. Thank you. I've lived there, 40 years. I just don't remember the district. Thank you.
I'm Jessica Kramer. I've been on the committee for 2 years and I was appointed by Jim Desmond, District 5.
You can come back this way and then go this fast. Is there someone else missing?
I'm Jeanette Shelton. I've been on the committee, I think it's my 2nd year. I also represent District 3.
Hello, Regina May. I'm representing District 4. Well, I'm sorry, I live in District 4, but I'm the at-large member on this committee.
And I guess I should add that I represent the vacant District 4 at this moment. Does the staff want to introduce themselves?
I'm Katie McKnight. I work in the Department of Human Resources for the county.
And I'm Todd Hood, countywide ADA Title II coordinator and liaison for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. And we'll have Nathan will introduce himself when he does his presentation.
So is that the first item on the agenda, so we don't keep him?
Well, we've got the statement for just cause or emergency, and it appears there are no members that need that. So the next would be voting on the July meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I've had an opportunity to review the minutes and I have no proposed changes, so I'd like to move for approval.
I second.
We can, but in future, usually Katie used to read them to me so that I have the ability to opine on them. But we'll go ahead and take the vote at this time.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm going to not vote on this. I was not a member of the committee at that time.
thank you, Alice. So is there any opposition to the July minutes?
Nope.
Okay, then those are passed.
Next on the agenda is non-agenda comment. So members of the public may address a county issue not elsewhere on this agenda. Each speaker may take up to 2 minutes. Speakers may be limited to less time if several speakers have requested to speak on the same issue. The Committee for Persons with Disabilities is prohibited by the Brown Act from acting on or voting on any issue that's not already on the agenda unless deemed to be urgent. Issues raised may be referred to an appropriate county agency. Non-agenda comment.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in non-agenda comment? Anyone from outside the committee? And then I'll move to anybody.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
Hey, Todd, this is Sergeant Dane Leisner from the San Diego Sheriff's Department.
Hi, Dane. Yes, we hear you.
Hey. Yeah, I just want to let you know that let the committee know that we're here and listening here today. If they have questions, and we'll see if we can answer them for them.
That sounds great. As a matter of fact, what's next up on schedule is if there are no
I wanna
non-agenda.
make sure. So
Okay.
is there anyone on the committee that would like to make any non-agenda comments or observations?
Sorry for being late. It's nice to see you all.
Hey, Carolyn.
Hello.
If there are no comments outside or within the committee, then we'll go on to the next agenda item.
And next up is the Blue Envelope Program. So we've got Lieutenant Nathan Rowley, who's representing the Sheriff's Department.
Welcome.
I'm not sure if that's, is that live? Is that? Let's see.
You might have to actually turn it on.
Yeah, I don't know if it, but just speak loudly. We've got, can you hear, can you all hear us, Dane? Are you able to hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. It's a little soft, but we can hear you.
Okay.
You ready?
Whoops.
All right, so first, I'd like to thank the committee for allowing us to present today. This has been an interesting couple of months. Just to kind of give a little backstory on the Blue Envelope program within San Diego County. I'll go into history here in a second, but essentially we were given about 2.5 months from the Board of Supervisors to get this up and running. And that was actually after we asked for an extension because the original time period was 5 weeks. So we have been absolutely running like crazy. I used to have hair before we started, and we're here now. So again, some of this stuff may seem like it's a little half-baked. And I will say that there are parts that we have a lot to evolve into. So we're actually very excited as we're presenting this because we have a lot of places we have still yet to go. But we were really happy and successful up to this point to get to where we're at. So I will say that I'm here in a place of enthusiasm, and I hope to share that with you today. So talking about our Blue Envelope history, now there are other Blue Envelope programs across the US, not many, but where this started was in the state of Connecticut. They actually have a Blue Envelope program that's ran out of their DMV. What that consists of is a paper blue envelope, and in that envelope is supposed to hold a copy of a driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance for a driver who is on the spectrum specifically. So that was a program that they created. It's an awesome program. Their foresight was amazing, and the Sheriff's Department in Riverside County essentially copied that idea. They took that, they brought it to Riverside County, they copied it, they started. So give them a lot of credit. And then we heard about it. So they just started in May of 2023. We heard about it. I think this was at the end of June, and we said, hey, this is a great program. And we started to look at the core tenets of that program and believe that we could do it better and make it more inclusive. So that's what we've done and what I'm presenting here today. Next slide. So we wanted to back away from the paper blue envelope. Now that is still a component of it, but we actually wanted to adopt an innocuous logo, which is our blue envelope that's up on the screen now. And essentially, we wanted that to be used by anybody with a condition or disability that has, something that where it could impact communication, or they may request additional accommodations, or essentially are trying to raise awareness during an interaction, obviously from our perspective with law enforcement, but also we saw any time that there is a community service folk available to be able to help them. So beyond just law enforcement, but our county workers, our state workers, city, and so forth. So again, it wasn't just a paper envelope, but also having a logo that we can adopt and display so that people who are in the know and can help. And really, we also wanted to make it innocuous because we didn't want there to be a stigma attached to it. And we also wanted to, I'll talk about it later, but really kind of tailored awareness. Our goal isn't necessarily public awareness, but awareness within the communities that can use it and those who serve the communities that can use it. Next slide, please.
Be aware that I'm blind, so I'm not seeing the slides.
Oh, no
So
worries.
I'm still waiting to figure out what a blue envelope is.
Absolutely. Well, if I can explain anything better about it, I'll absolutely will. So we do have a public service announcement video that we created, so I apologize, ma'am. We'll be able to play this and I'll be able to kind of explain better what was played.
The Blue Envelope program is now available in San Diego County. It's a new tool to assist law enforcement agencies and community organizations to better understand and assist members of the public with a condition or disability that may impact communication or require additional accommodations or awareness. Here's how it works. Individuals can display one of several items readily displaying the Blue Envelope logo. These items may be a physical blue envelope, wristbands, lanyards, stickers, pins, or other items available for free through our community partners or your local law enforcement agency. This allows a sheriff's deputy or police officer who sees the Blue Envelope logo to know an individual has a condition or disability requiring additional accommodations or assistance during a service call or emergency. There's also Blue Envelope branded products designed to carry important information, such as medical or contact details. Participation in the Blue Envelope program is free and voluntary. For more information on the Blue Envelope program and where to pick up the Blue Envelope products, visit the website below. You can also scan the QR code on your screen. Thank you for making San Diego a Blue Envelope county.
So there's multiple components to our Blue Envelope program. Now we're saying Blue Envelope and there is a Blue Envelope component to it, but the Blue Envelope itself is not really important. It's really, we've created multiple products that have our logo, which essentially is like a envelope logo in the color blue, so that law enforcement or other community service, can recognize that logo in day-to-day just contacts, but also during times of emergency where if there's a critical incident, we can see that right away because it's a unique color scheme that we don't really see a whole lot. So it's something that we can cue when I say we, law enforcement or other emergency medical providers can cue in on to be able to assist the person that is displaying that logo as best we can.
What does the logo look like?
So the logo is, the base of the logo is an envelope, if you will. It's an outline of an envelope. And then some of the products have a circle around that envelope. And then sometimes the outline will be like a baby blue color with like a white background, or reverse where it's a baby blue background with a white envelope outline. So it's just something that really kind of pops. We don't have a whole lot of North Carolina fans in San Diego County.
Well, it's kind of the San Diego Charger color. a little
Yeah.
bit.
They're no longer here though, so yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to bring up some,
Very close
some
to
bad
the
feelings.
placard color
So
as
we
well.
we do have, and I will bring up, one of the things that we're passing around is the paper envelope. This is intended for our drivers that are in the vehicles. This is different than what we're actually displaying now. This was our beta version, if you will, and I'll explain the difference when we get to it. And actually, it was with some really great input from our community partners. Next slide. So here we are. So on this slide, we're just showing some of the products that are available. We have pins, stickers, we have a seatbelt cover, we have stuff that can be attached to like a backpack, we have lanyards, we also have wristbands. Essentially, we're trying to find as many different products as we can that can be displayed, because we recognize that no one product is going to be universal or comfortable for everybody. So we're trying to find the different products that somebody would be comfortable with wearing or displaying, and in a way that they're also comfortable with displaying that product. So we're trying to come up with constant ideas, and in our regular meetings with our community partners, that's where we intend to further evolve what products we have available.
So tell me what all the writing is on the envelope.
So the writing itself, right now, that envelope that we have right here has a lot of words on it, I'll be honest, and we went away from that because of that purpose. I don't remember all of it, but there is a slide that will show that here in a couple slides, and I can read it for you then if that's okay.
Okay.
One of our partners in this is MTS. Now MTS Transit, they already do create like a rider pass, which is a hard plastic card that has like an RFID chip in it so that people can scan it when they come on board the buses. One of the things that they're going to be able to do is add our blue envelope logo to those rider passes for those riders who want it. It's not going to be required, but it's something that can be on there if they want. We, the Sheriff's Department, will also be able to print a similar card that will have somebody's name, and maybe if they want to give a contact name, a contact phone number, and if they want to give any tips on how they can best be communicated with, that can be included on the card as well. Those will be provided free of charge. And actually, this is a good time for me to discuss that. This whole program is free. This is paid for out of the currently out of board of supervisors. Right now, it's Tara Lawson Reamer and District 5, so District 3 and District 5 that are paying for it. So they are paying for these to go county-wide. So no community partners, no participants, and no law enforcement agencies have to pay anything for all of this. And also another thing, there's no registration, there's no database, there's no information that's being taken from law enforcement for law enforcement purposes at all. We want this to be as broad as it should be, and also to be as inclusive as it could be. So we want to make sure that that everybody feel comfortable with it. There's no way that I, as law enforcement, if somebody were to be wearing a blue envelope logo, even if I know who they are, that I can somehow connect the two, because there is no record of any kind, nor is there proof of a certain condition or a disability in order to partake in this. We're not saying that you have to prove anything. Anybody who wishes to self-identify as having some sort of communication need or just wanting to raise awareness, we would absolutely welcome them in wearing this. We hope that they would. So some of this I've already talked about. Essentially, the only thing on the screen is just 3 logos, us, the Sheriff's Department, because we kind of started this movement. The Board of Supervisors is paying for it, and then we took it to the San Diego County Police Chiefs and Sheriffs Association, presented the idea, and everybody loved it, thought it was a great idea. So we essentially, this program has been adopted by all local law enforcement agencies in the county of San Diego. Just this morning, we presented to the Imperial County Sheriff's Department, and they are going to be copying us, as San Bernardino. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is reaching out. They're probably going to be doing the same. And then Riverside is probably going to be expanding their program to match ours. So essentially, we've created this here locally in San Diego that is starting to catch a lot of steam, to which we're really proud of, especially in only like 3 months. So next slide is just some of our community partners, and that's as of today. When we first started out, it was essentially just the San Diego Regional Center as well as Alzheimer's San Diego, and then it just expanded from there. We have the San Diego Center for the Blind, Autism Society, Deaf Community Services, Adjoin, American Diabetes Association, Social Impact, Helping Hands, the Braille Institute, San Diego Brain Institute Foundation, the ARC of San Diego, Brain Balance, Trace, MTS, Options for All, and Beacons.
What's the last one?
Beacons, BEACONS, yeah. So they've been a great group of people. They've really been helping us out. Actually, I think on the next slide, please. No, it'll be forward on, but this is a good chance to talk about the training. Now, this isn't just a display a logo for law enforcement type of program. We see this as an ongoing thing that's going to continue to evolve in years to come. This isn't just something that we're standing up and walking away from. So one of the things that we're asking of our community partners as we develop this program essentially is to work with us in developing our training for law enforcement. So one of the things, now this is on top of the state mandated training, the training that were mandated by the county, and also separately from the department. This is on top of all of that. So what we're working with, in the video, you would have seen a part where a deputy sees somebody that is wearing a blue envelope item, and they're not responding to the deputies, verbal attempts to get a hold of them. So the deputy signs to the person, "Are you deaf?" Now, we have absolutely no intention of teaching ASL to all of law enforcement just because that's not possible. But we can teach most law enforcement one or two signs. And then that way, that just helps law enforcement recognize, the issue there, know what they have to do moving forward, and also shows a level of respect for the person, that has that communication need, because then we know what we can do for them in that scenario.
I just want to go back to a statement you made. How or what proof could there be that a new head sheriff comes in and says, "I don't like this program at all, I don't think we should have it"? Now, I know the board of supervisors has voted on it, but so that would mean, I assume this person would have to go back to the board and talk them into doing what?
No.
Well, I would,
Not that I want to see that happen.
when I look at the blue envelope, this program and as it's evolved, essentially what it's doing is just promoting communication.
Yes.
And so I don't think that there would be a law enforcement leader out there that would want to say, I don't want communication, I don't want partnership, and I don't want, and it makes it safer for everybody, honestly, this type of proactive communication program. So even if somebody were to say, like a police or sheriff leader would want to back away from it, I think the program would be too big, too important, and too many people doing it, that even if they wanted to back away from it, it would still be running, and everybody would know what it means. So that would be my kind of take on that scenario.
The reason I asked that question is because, having been involved in my own city of Encinitas, too often, we think something will be permanent, we want it to be, all the good things, and then boom, 10 years later, somebody walks in and says, "Well, we don't need to do that anymore."
And this is something that it's an idea that's so simple. You think it would have been thought of a long time ago, type of thing. But oftentimes it's those simple things that nobody realizes until at some point. So this is one of those programs that we hope it's simple enough and important enough that it's just going to continue on. I haven't actually received really any meaningful negative feedback that they would want this to go away.
Great.
And a big part of that's with our community partners as well. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have ASL interpreters available?
So what we do work with, like Deaf Community Services, so they do have ASL interpreters available. The County of San Diego also has various contracts with people, so we do provide ASL interpreters when we know somebody who has that need is present. We were just at the Deaf Festival 2 weekends ago, right after we kind of announced the Blue Envelope program, and we received a lot of positive feedback there. We did have interpreters there as well, and it was actually a really, really fun time. I don't know if anybody was there, but it was a phenomenal festival.
But the sheriff's department itself does not have any specific ASL interpreters nor contract directly.
No, we do have direct contacts. So if we needed them both in the field or in our detention facilities, we're able to actually, we have programs that we can pull one up on our phone immediately, like in the field. And then we also have contracts for, if we know we need one at like an event ahead of time, we can absolutely bring them in. We also have a number of talented deputies that have this as well, and they have that skill. As a side note, I'm making my daughter take it, because I think it's one of those important skills to have. So we have it covered in a bunch of different ways. I wouldn't say it's foolproof, but it's the best scenario that we got right now. And actually, even earlier today, we were talking with the ADA unit on how we can more easily and quickly get access to ASL interpreters. So that's something that we're very cognizant of, and that we're trying to make sure we address.
I'll just further that, I'm very familiar with the programs in various languages, ASL being one of them, but so if something happened in the field, as you were describing, and someone signed, are you deaf? And the person answered, would each of your officers have access to that program? Or is that something they would then call their supervisor? Or like, how easy is it for that to actually happen? Or does this deaf person get delayed a lot longer then a hearing person would be delayed. You know, because of the lack of communication.
This is actually a very good question. In a future slide, I was gonna talk about the communication card.
Okay, and I can help answer some of those questions too.
Oh, gotcha. So so one of the things that we're developing is a communication card. Essentially what it is it's on one side, it's a number of different logos, as well as, you know, things that like law enforcement can communicate quickly by pointing at a certain like logo. On the back side of that are actually a number of words that can make like simple sentences. So like in that emergency situation, that, you know, someone who's deaf or hard of hearing, you know, they can actually just point at the words to make a simple sentence so that law enforcement knows, right, then this is the type of situation that we have right now. So it can at least, although it's not completely inclusive, it is something that kind of launch us there in the right direction. And then with that, I'll go and turn it over to ADA unit that might have additional, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just have one question. So one of your, I come from law enforcement on the military side, and I also have a traumatic brain injury. So one of the partners I don't see is the VA San Diego. So I just encourage you, and I can also liaison with you on behalf of this board, because we have the largest polytrauma TBI unit here, and those things mimic themselves, not in the autism spectrum, but for example, a lot of us with complex PTSD and TBI, and you may come from the military as well, you kind of have that demeanor. I'm armed. I
Tracking you.
Yeah, I've been there.
And a lot of those things mimic other instances of say ADHD or autism and stuff like that. When you have TBIs, secondary to blast, all those things. I was injured in a roadside bombing. So these things are insanely helpful outside of just this.
Oh, absolutely.
So it would behoove us to expand this, because we have the largest military active reserve, National Guard, et cetera, down the line, and even those spouses with the children for this. So not just this, but because we now surpass Virginia as the largest concentration of military and veterans in this space. And so I would be delighted to help you guys expand this into our space and see what we could do with that, because of the polytrauma that we have here that mimics these issues.
Absolutely, I say you're 100% on point. And actually we presented to the VA last week. Because they're not a small local organization, they just can't say, okay, good to go. So they're actually, we are gonna be representing with all the heads of the different departments, I think next month is what they're shooting for.
And I don't want to step on you, but my closest and dearest friend actually sits on the board.
Nice.
So I could probably fast track that a little bit quicker.
Absolutely.
Right? So before you leave, you know, let's download some info.
Absolutely.
And fast track this quicker, because you and I both know you're on the streets. The interaction you have with people like us and people like everybody on this board is especially PTSD, because it mimics all of these other things. And again, everybody else on this board with all these varying disabilities, these are all unseen disabilities. I'm 100% TNP, and people wouldn't know it. Right, and all of these lovely people that sit on this board have some sort of disability that you just probably wouldn't even know about. So this is an invaluable tool, but I would love to help you expand that out.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll absolutely take any help we can get.
I mean, this is a fabulous kudos to the gentleman on the secret gentleman on the screen. Yes.
Can you answer the ASL?
Yes, so Dane, you want to talk about the ASL?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Sergeant Dane Wiesner of the ADA unit, the Sheriff's Department. We do have the capability of communicating with people via ASL inside the facilities and also outside. We have, as Nate had talked about, we do have contract companies that work along with the county here in the sheriff's department that assist us with that. And we're also in the process of implementing a VRI capability for all phones and tablets out for all deputies out there. So that when they do come in contact with anybody that needs ASL services, that they will have it on point right then and there.
So when do you expect that to be available?
It's going through the trial phase right now. Yeah, I hope to have it as soon as possible, but it could be within a month or so. But if we do need to make contact with people, we do have partnerships with our other agencies and our contract facilities in order to help bring services to individuals that need it.
All right, so another thing that's an interesting component of this program is working with the AUSA and our district attorney's office locally.
What is AUSA? You're using a lot of.
My apologies.
US Attorney, Assistant US Attorney.
Okay, but let him tell me, because he's
That's correct.
been making accessible.
Yeah, the assistant U.S. attorney. Basically, anybody who is victimized because they are wearing this, like if somebody sees this, sees the blue envelope logoized product and chooses to victimize somebody because they are wearing that product, it is actually a hate crime under state and federal law. And so that is part of our training that we've been providing to all law enforcement in the county. And so we're also just advising them that if they happen to, while they're interacting with the victim, also see that there is the blue envelope logo being presented somewhere, to take that into consideration, make that part of the investigation. So everybody's been on board with that. So again, that could be a state and or federal hate crime under those definitions. So it's we would hope that would never happen, but in case it does, that is recognized by us. So one of the things, if we have the ADA unit on board, sooner or later, this program will be theirs. They have other stuff that they are doing right now, and so we've been working together really as this continues on. Until that point, it's going to be kind of handled. The blue envelope program and the ADA unit are technically separate, but we are working together as we move forward. And when we talk about creating like the training videos to help law enforcement, that's going to be what we're doing over the next couple of years. Our community partners, we're going to be planning on meeting about 3 or 4 times a year and really developing our training program moving forward. Up until now, it's just been, we got to get this launched. So now that we are there, we are really going to start kind of building the bones of where we're going to take the program moving forward. So that's our next meeting is going to be mid-November, as long as everybody's available to make it. So that's kind of where we're at on the training component and where we're taking it. The only thing that we've been asking really of the community partners is to develop that tailored awareness within their community. We as law enforcement recognize, I cannot say how this program will be best rolled out in the, say with the San Diego Brain Injury Foundation. I can't do that. I don't have that expertise, and I don't work within that community every single day. So I would ask them to develop their own training with and for their own communities that they serve. So that we're there to help them out in any way we can. But that goes down for our entire list of community partners. We just ask that they tailor their training and awareness within their communities. And next slide. So this is what our envelopes. So we do have a blue envelope component to it. It is a paper envelope that we're saying they can have a copy of driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. This is targeted more towards those in the neurodivergent crowd that would want to use this. As you can see, like in our initial envelope had a lot more words on it. But when we were working with like our San Diego Brain Injury Foundation and some of our other community partners, they said too many words. We give us a simple sentence, and we would love to have like a little logo or picture next to it. So that's exactly what we did. Our current envelope says stop at a safe location, stay in your car, do not leave until you're told it's okay to leave, keep your hands on the steering wheel and tell the deputy or officer that you have a blue envelope and follow instructions. And that was a phenomenal piece of information. And actually, I think it just demonstrates how much we as law enforcement are able to learn by interacting with our community. Because again, we came up with an envelope with a lot of words on it. And the community member who services, their community said, hey, this is too much. This is what you got to put instead. And that's what we did. So well, we love that feedback. We love that interaction. That's exactly what we created based on their input.
Is this where you were gonna read to me what this one says?
Yes, ma'am. And that's exactly what I just read out loud is what the new envelope said.
Yeah, the new envelope. I'm asking about this one
Yeah.
and particularly about the icons.
So the icons that are on that envelope that you have right now are that's the blue envelope icon, the San Diego Chiefs of Police and Sheriff's Association, the Board of Supervisors, or the county logo, I should say. And then I think it's just our QR code on the bottom. But again, that particular envelope is, we're not using it. That one is, that one's defunct now because we came out with these other ones.
Right, but it's helpful for us to see, because there may be things that were in here that we might see as being important,
Absolutely.
which is why I was asking you for what it said.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Any feedback? Well, we would love it.
Should I be saving all my questions for the end, or should I be interjecting as I go?
I'm here for you, so whatever you feel most comfortable with, you let me know.
Jessica, go ahead.
Okay, my first question is, how much more of your presentation, just so I can think about timing of how I wanna ask my question?
I think I only have like maybe 4 more slides.
Okay, one question I have is, would you be able to provide us like a paper copy of these slides after the meeting sometime?
Absolutely. Actually, I think you also have you have a downloaded copy. So we can absolutely get that to you.
Okay, great. Okay, please continue.
All right, so this is the other side of the envelope. This one is more notes for the officer, if you will. And we've included on the right-hand side of that envelope, there is basically a space where people can write whatever they want. When working with like our Alzheimer's San Diego crowd, they loved it because they were saying like, say like if I had a father who had Alzheimer's and he goes to drive and he's been driving his whole life and he doesn't know necessarily now that he shouldn't be driving. Well, law enforcement would never know that, in interacting with folks. But now I could proactively put a blue envelope sticker on my car. And if for some reason he's pulled over in my vehicle, law enforcement officer would ask about it, hey, do you happen to have a blue envelope, or do you know why there's the sticker on the car? He may not know, but lo and behold, in the glove box would be one, be this envelope in there, where I proactively say ahead of time, hey, if you stop Robert, he's got Alzheimer's, he shouldn't be driving. My name is Nathan. Here's my number. Please give me a call. I'll come get him in the car anywhere 24/7.
Put one in Richard's car.
So this is something that and we've also in the video too, there was a scenario where there was a young lady who is type 1 diabetic and was hypoglycemic. And there's more to that scene, but essentially it looks and she appears as if she's driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. But because she's hypoglycemic, she's just appearing that way without actually having anything additional in her system. So this is something that, if we saw that sticker or this envelope is present, we're able to know, hey, this person is type 1 diabetic. And that just kind of cues us to, start fire department to get that checked out, because hypothetically, if she were under the influence of alcohol or drugs, well, then she's still getting her blood sugar checked, and that doesn't stop anything. And that's either helping her out or it's a nothing, and both ways are positive, versus us not knowing, which is a negative. So that's kind of where this can be used in any number of ways, and really we're excited to see this in the field and see how it's used.
I'm glad that you brought that point up. I noticed in the press release that came out with some statements from Kelly Martinez that she very thoughtfully spoke about this program, not just being for people with autism, but also being for diabetes. And she also brought up mental health conditions such as anxiety that may cause a person to struggle with communication or directive. And so I appreciate as you're giving this presentation that you mentioned the other types of disabilities that will be represented here.
Absolutely. It really, that's one of the big, a big part of this project is really trying to make this as exclusive as possible and broad, because we don't want somebody to look at our program and say, oh, this is for the people of this blank community, whatever that is. We want this to be widespread, and really be, not necessarily mean anything by itself, but just allow that time for the people that are community service representatives and, you know, law enforcement to, dig a little bit deeper to see how we can best serve them.
Yeah.
In those scenarios.
I am the founder of a nonprofit that specializes in disability rights for people experiencing homelessness, individuals that are low income, and specifically in 911 law enforcement. So I have advanced certifications in the ADA and law enforcement, and will be one of those community organizations that will be helping the community, as we already have been, understand more about how to have a safe and more comfortable interaction with law enforcement, as well as making sure law enforcement feels comfortable to properly accommodate people with disabilities in an interaction.
And that's really, those are the type of partnerships we're looking for. 'Cause,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
wondering if what is the process by which to be invited to that November meeting?
there's, if you want to be there, you can be there. That's, when it comes to our community partners, we can probably talk offline of like what that looks like. There's no MOU, there's no formal onboarding process. It's more just a handshake agreement, really just to say, hey, are you willing to, one, be a community representative, that people in the community can come and get products, the Blue Envelope products that we supply to you, you know, available to them. And also just to kind of work with us as we move forward. So there's no contracts or anything like that.
That's wonderful. I recently, this will be my third month in the San Diego Regional Anti-Hate Crime Coalition. And I am the only disability rights voice that has joined that coalition. And joining, it's been a very passionate part of my work, as I am also affected by hate crimes in the community. A lot of that revolves around me needing accommodations and the perception that because I'm not visibly disabled, that I'm entitled as opposed to qualified for those. And I experience a lot of hate in the community when I'm out with my service dog, especially at places like the grocery store or hotels. And it's been very difficult with me as I've been learning that I am a person with rights and what those rights are, and as well as how law enforcement can provide special protection and special consideration for people with disabilities to live a safe and integrated life in the community. It's been very difficult because there have not been these infrastructure elements to law enforcement. I mean, most law enforcement agencies and the average patrol officer does not know that service dog discrimination, denial, or harassment is actually a penal code crime. And it's never been looked at until I've started advocating for it within the last couple of years. It hadn't been looked at by the DA's office or law enforcement office as a knowing and willful crime against a person with a service dog, which would be a denial or a harassment obstruction that comes with it, you know, the proper qualification. So it's knowing and willful, and there's a biased motivation and so that had not been something law enforcement would not check the hate crime box, you know, once they did a PC 365.5 or 365.6. And in my first case that went to the district attorney's office, didn't know it was a crime. And then once they realized it was a crime, as opposed to a civil matter, they had no expertise in prosecuting it. And so I really stood strong, and we brought it up in this meeting. We had the pleasure of Summer Stephan coming. But between the new hate crime law, the new senior disability victimization law, which is Senate Bill 338 for senior and disability victimization, and then the new Ting bill that's about a week old, which is a hate crime bill that's revolutionary. And within it, it has specifics about hate crimes against people with disabilities. So they, over the next few years as it gets rolled out, I'm not just sharing this for you, I'm sharing for my team as well. But as it gets rolled out, every crime against a person with disability will have to be investigated for that hate crime bias. And the hope is that rather than 1% of crimes against people with disabilities, we'll start seeing, just because we don't have the lens doesn't mean it's not happening. And really looking forward to how you guys manage to put this all together comprehensively, so that the hate crime element is represented, the how to qualify a person with a disability for hate crime, but also for police protection and understanding, accommodation. And I just want to make sure that I'm wrapping it up in the right way. So I wanted my team to understand that there's these 2 new bills that will be going into how this program will qualify and create that umbrella for how law enforcement can understand how to see these people and how to communicate and how to bring them forth to be fully equal in the Justice Department. As far as the service dog element goes, which is where I experience a lot of discrimination and hate, in the video that the Sheriff's Department first put out, there is a gentleman that appears to be vision impaired and has what appears to be a service dog, and that service dog has what appears to be a blue envelope branded leash. And then I noticed in this video, there could have been any circumstance chosen for the example for this video. This video includes somebody hard of hearing who also was maybe looking for their dog, and it was chosen to represent this dog not as a service dog with a very distinct different color leash, which is a red leash. So I'd like to see if we can create some continuity. I think if we're going to use an example with a dog in a training video, we need to think about, if it's not a dog, are we sending a confusing, if it's not a service dog, are we sending a confusing message? If it is a service dog, are we sending, you know, we need to look at that messaging and make sure it's consistent. I think if there's any confusion about whether the dog in the video should be a service dog or not, there could be any other example used besides a dog. But if we're going to be using a dog, I think we really want to represent it as potentially a service dog, since that's what this is all about. And do you know if the leashes were something that were discussed in the beginning and maybe somehow was decided not to be? And
Actually, so we're in the process of purchasing, so a number of our products, we went to beta essentially. We got like the initial one that we said, this is not gonna work. So we either had to up our product quality or do something else. So we actually are getting their reflective collars that have the blue envelope logo on them, as well as some of the leashes. So that is something that we are doing. The particular dog that we have in that video is actually a famous dog for the Sheriff's Department. That is our videographer's dog. And if you see any of our videos, you will see that dog somewhere in every single video. So that was definitely not that was just his dog, because he takes it with him everywhere. So one thing that we've been very careful of, and we did not want to represent somebody if they weren't that. So like everybody in our videos, you know, the lady who was deaf, she's actually CEO of the Deaf Community Services. The girl that was she actually does have type 1 diabetes. The gentleman is sight impaired. So we wanted to make sure that we actually use people from the community, not to represent something that that they aren't. Well,
Lucius and I volunteer.
Absolutely. Well, we have many more videos coming up, so that we would love to be able to have, especially through our partnership, be able to utilize that, especially when training, because we need that component with law enforcement. So I can say that yes, that's both the callers and everything else are en route. We're just kind of still in that development. We're 3 months now from initial thought to where we're at now. So it's just
very
been
impressed.
it's been a sprint.
And it's such a testament to what is possible. Also on our board of supervisors part, both of those supervisors are what I would call my supervisors. They're either my district supervisor or who have chosen me to be a representative for their district. And that everything we're talking about has been my primary source of advocacy and pushing, and I'm so proud of them. And it really shows what can happen when the Board of Supervisors gives a directive and the sheriffs are on board, and I'm so appreciative and impressed.
Thank you very much.
I hope I'm not confusing the issue. But I do think that it's important that the public doesn't get confused with the blue collar, meaning that it is a service dog. Because it may just be
Blue collar what?
the blue collar on like a dog or whatever other animal. Does not necessarily mean that it's a service dog. It just belongs to someone with a disability, because it could just be your pet, because you want a pet.
Yeah, people could also be wearing What Would Jesus Do bracelets, the same color as this blue bracelet. So I'm sure that, because also it's such a cool logo, and this is the first time I've ever spoken on this side of the argument, because before it was always like, just pushing for any little bit of recognition, especially with the service dog or the previous Take Me Home program, or hey, I have a blue handicap placard, that should let an officer know that I have a disability, but that doesn't change an interaction at all. So but it's the first time I've ever come at this side of how are we gonna protect from people who are faking. I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth, but it's such it's such a trendy, cool logo. It's so fashionable and it's just so cool. And I could see it just catching on fashionably. And I think that that is something that we're gonna have to look at and make sure that that doesn't dilute the officer's perception of how serious it is for the people that are legitimately dealing with a condition or a disability.
Just so you know, we're in the corner talking about, hey, we can have them make cozies for our.
So it is a good point, because part of our, the training that we're like given to both our law enforcement as well as our community partners is that unlike most times where you see somebody wearing a lanyard or a wristband or something, they're usually trying to draw attention to whether it be a team or something trying to raise money or, a personal belief. This is different because we're not trying to support something else. We're not trying to raise awareness somewhere else. We're trying to raise awareness for the person. So it is a little bit different. Like we wouldn't want somebody who just supports the program to be wearing it. We would want the person that actually needs the accommodation to be wearing it. So it's definitely it's a little bit different. There's an educational component to that.
I see a social media component where they're, just like we spoke with the district attorney's office about creating some type of ad campaign that disability abuse is real and service dog discrimination isn't cool. There could be some type of social media and video messaging that, explains how it's not cool to wear or use the gear unless it's for you because you need it. Making it uncool to wear it unless you need it.
Just as a time check, we're now 10 after 4. Just to let everyone know.
And I do want to go on the record and say that I will be leaving before 5 p.m. I don't think we'll lose our quorum, but if we don't get through our agenda items, I would like to. Okay.
I will speed I'll speed my part of it up. What you see on the screen is is that communication card that we're currently, I think we're on version 6.0 at this point. So once we get a finalized version, we'll have it there. Basically what it is it's a card that has a number of different logos on there, both for the deaf and hard of hearing, as well as some of our brain injury folks. There may be some people that are nonverbal. However, they can, recognize words, they can recognize pictures. So that might be able to help in communication at that time. Again, what you don't see is on the back that there would be like large print words that people can, point out to make simple sentences to help law enforcement know what is going on.
You should probably make a picture of that for your future presentations.
Thank you, ma'am. Next slide. This is just an example of a trifold that we're making available for print. You can just go to the next one. And this is talking about future sector integration, where we're going from here. Now, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but we had a very short development window. So we weren't able to get like all the fire departments on board, emergency medical, hospital, colleges. Now, these are areas that we completely expected to go, and we've already had a number of talks with. But like every hospital has boards, colleges have boards. Unlike some of the smaller organizations, they can't just say yes, even if they really like it. So it takes there's a little more to it. Probably our next area that we're really going to be seeing a lot of partnership is with our fire departments, because just like law enforcement, they're out there just the same as us. They've already been kind of briefed on this. They're aware of it. but all the different fire, all the different fire organizations in San Diego County will be kind of like our next people to come on board. But we've already had a talk with Rady's Children's Hospital, as well as UCSD and USD. So there's already a lot of interest. It's just those are organizations that we'll expect to probably have to give this meeting to multiple times, just because, as we go up the ladder and talk to different people before they get their final go ahead.
And the emergency medical response would be Falk and AMR and the different
Exactly.
ambulance companies.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
city paramedics.
Yep. So this is the end of my presentation. That's my QR code. We've gone 21st century. But if anybody, I would love to be able to answer any other questions that people may have. If not here, if you, my number and email address is on there as well. You
It's
feel
on
free.
what slide?
It is on the screen, yes, ma'am. But I'm always available. And my phone number is 760-271-2098. I'm always available for questions and anything I can do.
I only have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, your phone number one more time?
760-271-2098.
Thank you.
And the spelling of your name?
Is Nathan, Nathan, last name Rowley, Rowley.
Okay, the only last thing I have to say is I noticed under the initial training, it says does not specify tactics. Definitely specifying tactics is going to be the true meat and potatoes of this work, because it's great if an officer recognizes, but if they're not sure exactly what to do from that point forward, it's not going to be a successful program. So I also do very specific consulting with some of our law enforcement agencies on how to qualify a person with a disability once you're looking at actually sending the report to the DA's office and the DA actually prosecuting. And then also in the brief connection with one of the law enforcement agencies that I consult with, they know they have to do a training and they don't know how to do that training necessarily with the specificities. So I just see a lot of room here for that community collaboration.
Absolutely, and the tactics probably just is probably a different use of the terminology on our side. Like a lot of times on law enforcement, we're talking about tactics. We're saying like this is exactly how you have to do this certain thing. Now we recognize as the sheriff's department. San Diego Police Department may be a little less willing to, or not just the San Diego Police Department, any law enforcement agency. If we as a sheriff's department say you have to do this, and so that they would be a little less willing to maybe, well, why should I listen to you type of thing. So what we're doing when it comes to this training is we're suggesting like, hey, this is the best practice. This is the best way to do things. We can't tell you what to do because they are their own law enforcement agency, whoever they are. But that's so that when we say that it doesn't specify tactics, that's kind of what we're talking about. We're more looking at it from like a law enforcement to law enforcement versus like a law enforcement to like the community.
Actually training your own officers.
Yeah, so we'll train our own officers in a certain way, like the sheriff's department. We'll say this is what you need to do because they belong to us. And then everybody else will say this is what you should do.
Yeah,
And we'll leave that up to
I'll
them.
use the de-escalation example, when the county board of supervisors could commit to a unified countywide approach. The DA could weigh in with best practices and post may, and there may be a post mandate, some type of post best practice policy that could come out of it. But I understand that you guys can't enforce upon other agencies, but as a county, we definitely could continue to come together.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else burning? Otherwise, we will thank Nathan for your presentation.
I really would love to thank the committee. I really do. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. This has been a sprint and it's just been amazing. I want to thank my team that we have out there. I want to thank all the community that has helped us get to where we're at. I look forward to any input and partnership that we have with the committee and individual members moving forward. So thank you, and thank you for the service you provide your communities as well.
Thank you.
Get in this envelope, if not, I'll ask Rakina to take a picture, because I want the words. That's
So
what
that
I was
was-
after.
I'm not exactly sure where that one
You
came
can
from,
have
'cause
the,
I
you
did
can
not
have
take
the
it with me.
envelope if you want the
Well,
envelope.
he may say no, because he.
No, it's,
That's the old one.
Because it's an old one.
it's
I
not one-
understand.
yeah.
Oh, so we get to split up the gear?
No, you.
All right.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
I
mine,
didn't-
that was my copy, those are my items.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
definitely, Nathan. Next on the agenda is, and thank you, Dane, on, online. Next on the agenda is committee structure. First up is the at-large position. So we, time flies fast. And, it's been, 2 years since the committee, made an appointment for the current at-large position. And that was, as you all are familiar, Rakina. And, so the committee would need to vote this month in order to have the at-large position be presented to the Board of Supervisors for the month of November, and then the new member would take over after that vote. So Rakina would continue on in her role at least through next month's meeting. So then, Madam Chair, for the first item is the at-large vote. Now, everyone does have a copy of the applicants who took time out of their schedule to, just like each of you did, to put through an application, to submit an application. These applications were submitted before the new portal that's now been put in. But these are the applicants that have made application, who said, raised their hand to say that I'm willing to give the time that, like you all have been doing, to help further the mission of this committee and of the county. So, Madam Chair, would you, okay, go ahead.
I will go forward with the election. So is, and I just want to say honestly that Rakina has obviously been committed to this committee. I wish other people would come to the committee, show up. That would be a whole nother situation. But for me, we don't have plethora of reasons. We have no diversity on this committee. This is for me. I do think that, anyway, I think the committee, I know for me, this is what I've looked at, is who's been here, who's been willing to do the work, who's been accessible, and who wants to continue to do the work. Do I have people that would like to speak to?
I have a question, Madam Chair. Is Rakina termed out or is she eligible for reappointment?
She's termed out actually,
No,
because she was,
it's not termed out. I did check this. She is eligible to be reappointed.
you checked it with the clerk of the
I checked it with
board?
Nora's office, I checked it. She is eligible to be reappointed, and that was actually our conversation.
My
When you brought it up.
understanding, and I'll pull up the ordinance, but my understanding is that the at-large position was a one-time appointed position with a 2-year term.
It's not, we get to choose an extra person with different skills, and this is our ability to do that. And actually, Todd read it when we first had the discussion.
Actually, she's only served one term. When I say termed out, she's served one term as, we're talking to, like she's not here.
Sorry.
As the at-large appointee and a term as a Board of Supervisor appointee.
Right.
So that's
One
the
ye-
two
that's
terms.
Not accurate, she served 1 year. As the,
1 year, not one term.
What's the term?
Term would be the
When is
term
the
of the
term?
supervisor,
4
so
years.
4 years.
It's a term, 4 years.
Yeah.
When your supervisor's term, so if there were people who have been appointed 2 years into their supervisor's appointment or election,
Right.
they get 2 more years. So the statement is that Rakina served, you were here before I was, right?
Were you appointed
No,
by
she-
Diane Jacobs originally, and Supervisor Anderson chose not to reappoint her, and the committee then appointed her
Thank you.
as an at-large member. And I'm gonna look at the ordinance, but I love you and I want you to stay with us, but I'm 99% sure the ordinance says the at-large.
she was never contacted, that was another issue on this committee. Do you remember we had to go find her?
I do remember, so I guess the question is, we're asking a logistical
Was she
question about,
eligible for
can she
reappointment?
serve
I'm sorry?
any more years of a term under a supervisor if the supervisor were to appoint, is that correct?
She can, my understanding is that this is an at-large appointment, and the at-large appointment is a one-time appointment.
At the at-large or period?
As the at-large.
Right, so no more at-large, but she could be appointed by.
No, there is that law, I'm telling you, it is not limited. She can be reappointed at large.
Okay, so this group seems to have a question, which is,
No, you keep saying.
I just wanna make sure I'm clear. We need clarity on whether the at-large term is one term and one term only. If it is one term only, can she serve out a full term if she's appointed by a supervisor minus the time she served under that woman?
Right, but that is not the question at this moment.
I'm just trying to understand what we've discussed, and what we've discussed are two questions, but you wanna go one question at a time.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to do the election.
I understand.
And the answer is yes, but that is not in a position for a supervisor at this moment to do an appointment. Those appointments are up to the supervisor. And yes, most people honestly serve a minimum of 8 years.
Yes, okay.
So the 4 years, if someone gets appointed as a supervisor.
Yeah.
First one. Somebody can move their feet. I'm sorry. So that.
I can read the screen.
No, it's okay.
It doesn't have the at-large. Does it? No.
Cause I know that
Wait,
that
go
was,
down.
So
Like we-
there's a statement there that says that a committee member shall be appointed for no more than 2 consecutive terms.
Okay, and she hasn't been appointed for 2 full terms.
right,
Okay,
She has been appointed by
one term,
Supervisor Diane Jacobs.
but didn't serve a full term.
right. and
Doesn't,
then
It was the-
it doesn't
the
matter about-
Supervisor's term.
It was
Yeah.
the supervisor's
It's not
term.
whether it's the person,
I get it.
right.
It's
so
not by how many years you serve the term, it's once the term ends with the supervisor, you've served a term.
That's
Right,
correct.
right. For instance, if Michelle doesn't get appointed by the new supervisor, then her seat is no longer valid.
Understood.
But
Well, actually,
also-
Michelle will have served 2 terms.
Correct.
But it's, we won't have the supervisor's term. So
That's
when
not-
Diane Jacobs.
It's not
term-
years of term.
Yes,
It's
right.
just a term that may have up to 4 years.
But there's also an additional, my recollection, there is an additional description for at-large members.
I saw that.
Yeah, the under appointments, but it doesn't speak to term limits under appointments. It says that,
Go down to term of office, I thought.
Oh,
and
was
then
that
it's
it?
in the few years. It's in the, and then it doesn't go beyond that.
Yeah, it's.
the committee member appointed by the committee shall serve a term of 2 years.
And then it's specified.
Someone interpret it. For purposes of this limitation, a term shall include any appointment to fill a vacancy for 1/2 or more of a term, which would be 2 years or more.
To fill a
To
vacancy.
fill a vacancy. It's not only a vacancy.
Says the committee member appointed by the committee, by us, shall serve a term of 2 years.
It doesn't say they
So-
can't be reappointed.
I'm gonna say that honestly, what it looks like is a loophole. To be honest with you, because legally, it's not specified, which makes it a loophole.
Yeah.
So that's that. I'm happy to serve the community in whatever way I need to do that, and that's on or off the committee, so this. I'm happy to be here. I also understand term limits and their purpose, so I'm okay with that. Having said that, I do have 2 concerns for this committee. One, as Michelle said, there is a lack of diversity. And so I would hope that with me, with another appointment for the at-large person and any other vacancies, that would be considered. I also have a huge issue with us having applications without names on it. Because
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. And like I told Michelle, I mean, it could be a person who has committed a hate crime against someone with a disability that we're bringing onto the board, and we don't know it because we don't have a name. When there might be someone on this board that says, this person is not a person who appreciates, understands people with disabilities at all. They should never serve on this board. And they don't have that information because there is no name there.
I just assumed that we would pick the ones we liked on the description and then their names would be revealed to us.
No, so that's why I'm saying,
So we vote without knowing the name?
well,
Right, and that is, the purpose there is to alleviate any biases
Yeah. I mean,
based on a person's
because
name.
it's discriminatory, it's
issue of-
discriminatory to have a name, to vote based on a name.
well, to me, if somebody is interested, they should be coming to this meeting. I have never in my life,
Don't disagree with you, I'm just saying it's discriminatory to vote on somebody based on a name.
I don't, okay, so all I'm saying is that if you have, I understand that it can be discriminatory.
It's not
However,
necessarily.
however, it could be someone that we have knowledge, like not just like, oh, I like this name better than that name. It could be someone that someone actually has knowledge of that should not serve on this board.
Then you bring that to the board, but
But
what
then you've already.
we can't
brought the
do that
person on.
unless we know that before we do a vote.
Yeah, but I think what happens sometimes, and hear me out, is that sometimes people go and in cahoots and search through people's social media, and they may not like them via a social media presence and don't want them on the board because they may not politically align or whatnot. So that is why I think that leaving names off is a wonderful opportunity.
I
So,
can't apply for a board committee or committee.
Exactly.
There's someone that has their hand up.
I would love to be able to ask a question here or make a statement. In terms of the diversity of this committee, I 1000% agree with you. How do we know, how do we have diversity if we have no idea who it is we're voting?
And I
I mean,
think,
we don't ask people, we don't
Have
ask
you
people to
reviewed-
tell us.
Have you reviewed the applicants?
I think the other issue though.
Has
too-
anybody reviewed the applicant? Have you been able to see the organizations that people are part of?
you can't base it on organization.
I understand that, but how are you gonna know someone's racial or ethnic or nationality, et cetera, their background? Now, a way that you can, the way that this committee, and I think Rakina made a great point of it, is the committee really should be making recommendations for people to apply. I know that some of our new appointees have been referrals. And I know that some of the people who have applied have responded based on me sending out information to committee-based organizations. And these are leaders of community-based organizations for people with disabilities. I understand the concern about if you have someone that has committed a hate crime or someone that has a background that is potentially ill repute or that, but that's not for this committee. This committee is not in the position to do background checks.
And I'm not saying background check, I'm just saying if someone new. Let me also add, Todd, that when I was appointed by this committee knew who I was when I was appointed to at large. Furthermore, when I was appointed by my supervisor called me in to meet with them.
Yes, exactly.
And saw me in person and had a conversation with me before they appointed me to this board. So that's like, you're just basically saying, we have AI now.
Are there issues? Do you have issues with the people that have made application?
No.
I have an issue with the fact that, number one, the way it was presented, it has not been read to me. So I don't even know about those people. Number two, those people haven't shown up. I am absolutely not okay about just saying, okay, come join the committee when you can't even show up to have any kind of feedback. I mean, if I'm running, the first thing I'll ever ask a candidate is, how many of those meetings have you attended?
So based on the time that we have right now, it's now 4:30, it's almost 4:35. Madam Chair, what's
Yes.
your privilege?
So I would like to look at doing the election for a reappointment for Rakina Board.
I have a comment, Madam Chair. I don't believe that Rakina is eligible for reappointment, so I'd like to ask if we can delay this item until our next meeting.
Where does it say that?
I mean,
If you show it to me, that's fine.
where does it say?
Where does it say that she's not eligible?
My interpretation of the ordinance stating that she's eligible to serve 2 full terms. And she served a term under Diane Jacobs and she served a term as our appointee. So I would request clarification from the county council on their interpretation, whether she's eligible. If she's eligible, that will change the conversation altogether. Furthermore, there is an agenda item on here that requires a vote that has been delayed for 3 months in a row pertaining to sending a letter to the supervisors. I have prepared most of that letter and I would like to get that done before I have to leave today. So if we could delay this item, I would really appreciate it.
Is that a motion?
Jessica,
It's a request at the pleasure of the chairwoman.
Jessica, how do you feel?
I would love to hear what Kay has to say. I would love for council to weigh in on the interpretation because I think Rakina's an invaluable member. And that's all I'm gonna say right now. I also would like for us in this meeting to move forward with removing Candace, but that's not on here, but that helps us with quorum moving forward.
Actually, it is under D1, not specific to Candace, but what are we gonna do about the first item, at large vote?
Well, that's what I was trying to get an idea from comments from the committee.
Would like us to.
Jeanette and
I would
Rakina.
like to put it on hold as well, because I
Okay, I'm going to these other people.
Is there a
You already
motion?
said that. You said that.
I'll move that we put it on hold.
no, I didn't.
Okay, can I ask, please? I just asked Rakina and Jeanette to weigh in.
I believe we should put it on hold to get clarification from council.
If we do not have firm clarification as of this moment, yes, we need that before we proceed. To put it on hold.
I second the motion.
It's not a motion.
There's a
That was
motion on the
not a
floor.
You have the motion.
I'm not sure who
I made the motion.
Thank you. I seconded.
So I was gonna say, it doesn't have to be a motion. We can decide to.
With all due respect, Madam Chair, there is a motion on the floor. It needs to be voted on.
Fine. Is there anyone in opposition to delaying until next month?
No,
No.
No.
Okay,
So the next item is committee appointments, D1. We have had the resignation from Jose. And with Candace has not been,
her phone number no longer works.
the phone number does work,
I called it and texted it repeatedly. It went straight to voicemail and the texts were all returned.
okay.
so per the ordinance, when a vacancy occurs as the result of 3 consecutive absences, both the member and the appointing supervisor shall be notified by the vacancy by the chairperson.
I will call her on that. If a phone number doesn't work, that to me means someone has changed their phone number, but that's not exactly notifying somebody.
Well,
If they have a new number.
We use the best number is made available to us, but in order for us to maintain quorum, we have to move on this.
And where did you get the phone number from?
Okay, yeah.
Well, that, okay.
Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
I second.
What motion? What is the motion?
Motion is that we remove, I think it's removed.
Notify.
We don't get to remove, we get to notify.
Notify.
Excuse me. You get to notify.
And if you want to word it according to the
Please.
Ordinance, both the member, to notify both the member and the appointing supervisor
Thank you.
by the chairperson.
You need to re-say the motion. Clarifying with the language.
I'm sorry.
It's up on the
Oh,
schedule,
excuse
up
me.
on the.
I have it. Do you have it?
Katie's got it. She's all over it.
Thank you.
Fine, Alice, we know what the,
Thank
what you're
you.
saying.
It's in there. Thank you.
Well done.
It's
Jeanette, second?
Okay. A second.
So, again, does that really need to be a motion, or is it just?
Just in the sake of time, whatever it takes to move the meeting forward, so Kate can give her presentation. While
Is
preserving
there
everyone's
anyone in
rights.
opposition to my notifying Candy and Nora? But I don't believe that that's an accurate number. I will say that publicly.
Okay. No? Any opposition?
I never heard of voting this way, but okay.
It's all the time.
If we can't, but if the phone number doesn't work, it would be appropriate to send a letter?
I would think that the clerk's office still has record of her application with her contact information tag,
Yes, and I have it as well.
including her address.
So
if
we would,
needed to
we would wanna,
do it by
I
mail.
could draft a letter if you can't reach her by phone.
So can we have can we go ahead and get the votes? Because I didn't hear anything.
I didn't
The
hear
vote
mine,
was there was no opposition.
because that's not voting.
Okay,
That
let's
is
vote.
voting, actually.
No, it is not. A vote is when you, never mind, I'm
Let's just
sorry.
vote.
I'm sorry, I don't wanna take up any more time.
Aye.
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 Is there any opposition to us?
So
I
we're in the midst of a vote. All right, so we've gotten that. It sounds like it's unanimous.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, so D4, the D4 supervisor positions are currently vacant, but carried on. The chair is carrying on until new appointments are made. And then D5, we have a vacancy. So here's an opportunity for the committee to reach out to candidates of diversity. And however, whatever that means to you, and make recommendations and requests that they make application through the portal. And the portal is on the BCC. If you need me to send it out to you, I'll be sending that out to you as well.
But it's still up to the supervisor.
Of course, but currently we have no D5 applicants. The next item is the letter to the Board of Supervisors for teleconference.
Is that Kate? Go, Kate, go.
I have one other quick question. Is it possible possible for the District 5 supervisor to appoint someone who does not live within the district?
Yes, it is.
That will make the recruitment process a little easier. All right, we have been talking for months and months about the open meeting law requirements and teleconferencing. And I've agreed to, or I'm willing to, if you'd like me to, prepare a letter. I attended the legislative forum 2 weeks ago, and Carolyn Smith actually suggested that the committee draft a letter to the Board of Supervisors requesting their assistance in joining a statewide coalition of other municipalities who are also trying to make accommodations for individuals with disabilities. Those revisions, and I've agreed and volunteering to do that if the committee would like me to. But the bulk of the letter would say the Brown Act was a public access law. And it will talk specifically about the section that says teleconferencing may be used for all purposes during any meeting, given that the location of those meetings is made available to the public. That's the section in the act that seems to be the snag, not just with our committee, but with other jurisdictions and committees statewide. And Carolyn said basically at our request, we would ask the supervisors to allow her and her staff members to join in this effort to see if amendments could be made to the statute.
Well done.
Okay, so if you're good with it.
You're talking about me, I'm like, when did I do?
If you're good with it, then I will prepare a draft letter to present at next month's committee meeting for approval. And then the chairwoman can sign it and we can submit it to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you very much.
And the next item that's up is the community outreach. And this is the Live Well Advance Conference, which is scheduled for November the 1st. The opportunity here is for the committee to participate in the Live Well Advance Conference. It will be at the convention center. Have members registered?
No, I'm discussing with my medical team whether I can do it because of my compromised immune system. That's why I didn't move forward with your accommodation. Thank you for that.
What are the hours?
Basically all day, but you can pick when you want to attend.
What are the?
So it starts at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, November the 1st. And then there's an 11 o'clock set of sessions, a 12 o'clock lunch, a 1:45 session, and then a 3 o'clock session. So it ends about 4 on November the 1st.
And we're supposed to just have a booth, is that
Is there a fee?
point? And
There is no fee. The recommendation at this point is
just
to attend. Do not know if the committee has a desire to host a booth.
Can I just register so I have the seat, even though it's gonna take someone's seat if I end up not going?
Probably not gonna be that crowded yet for that.
It was 2,000 people last year,
It's November 1st
Wednesday, November 1st.
at the convention center.
Yes, it's up on the screen here.
If I were to volunteer to man a booth, would there be, could the county help provide tablecloth and materials printed materials for the committee?
The booth would come with, now, I don't know if we can still get you a booth
Okay,
because we're
Probably-
two weeks out.
okay.
So you want us to meander like the fabulous meanderers that we are? Is that what you
Well,
want?
no, it's not what I want. I would recommend that the committee participate in some manner with the Live Well Advance so that one, the committee can get exposure and meet some of the organizations that make up the county, as well as some of the community-based organizations, and potentially seek out some potential committee members, but as well to understand better about what's being offered through the county and other community-based organizations.
Sounds like it's a request that if individual people are available, can make themselves available to attend at any portion of the 9 AM till 4 PM. That is what is, I recommended or.
Thank you, Todd.
I just told Jessica that if she cannot attend, I'm happy to attend and do some things on her behalf.
Thank you.
So that that's there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
So are there committee members that are planning to attend?
I'm going to register tomorrow, and I did see your email that you sent us, thank you, and if possible, if we could secure a booth, I'd be willing to man the booth for a day.
Is there a motion?
To what?
Get a booth or to pursue, if there's an opportunity to acquire a booth under the name of the Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
So moved. I will move to that.
Second.
Is there a cost?
There is no cost.
Okay.
I would say something, but I don't have a house right now.
Is there a vote? Do we have a vote?
Is there any discussion?
No.
I see.
Then, is there any opposition to our looking at possibly?
No.
Okay, next item up is the district attorney follow-up. I did get an email from district attorney's office. So here are some items that they have provided preliminary updates for. So under
Is this very quick? Because I know there are people that need to leave at 5.
it is not very quick.
So I'm gonna suggest that we
Oh
postpone
my
that.
gosh, Michelle, I don't think I can take it. I've been literally chomping at the bit for like 4 months now for this moment.
Okay, I wish we had done it earlier.
I'm sorry.
Can we, that's okay.
10 minutes.
Is it 4:50?
Can we just,
That's fine.
okay,
Um,
so we'll get it, can we just get as much as we can get?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
So under access to justice, for tracking of hate crimes and related prosecution of incidents against people with disabilities. Statement was, yes, we report this by category to the California Department of Justice. Incidents against people with disabilities is one of those categories. Number 2, establish a checklist for qualification of a dependent adult. Under SB 338, the DA committed to try to influence law enforcement to create this checklist. This is again a preliminary report.
It's not dependent adults anymore though, but sorry, I just have to say that in senior disability victimization, dependent adult is no longer the appropriate word moving forward.
So number 3, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3, diversify the imaging in the San Diego Elder Adult Blueprint document to include someone with an invisible disability, service dog, and veteran. They have provided the draft. I'll be able to send that over, and they're looking for feedback. Is there an app similar to that which was provided and for individuals with invisible, intellectual, or physical disabilities? Currently, there is no app similar to the mentioned cultural app that includes information pertaining to individuals with invisible, intellectual, or physical disabilities. We love the idea and are happy to explore it. Number 5, an awareness card for rights of elder and adult PC 365, 365.5. Based on the committee's feedback, we're working on content for a poster to educate businesses, for example, hotels, motels, restaurants, and others in that industry. We're happy to share a draft with the committee once we have a design. Under training, completion status of DA staff training for people with disabilities, including invisible. Since our last meeting, the total number of DA employees who have completed our in-house training is 985. This is in addition to countywide training on neurodivergent excellence, which is 910 employees, and diversity basics, which is 1,034 employees. Number 7, completion status of 8-hour regional de-escalation training with law enforcement. To date, every law enforcement agency in San Diego County has received the 8-hour de-escalation and crisis management training. We continue to host the 8-hour training for new police graduates and have added a 4-hour use of force and de-escalation training. Currently, we have trained about 50% of all San Diego County law enforcement officers. Consider delivering the training over multiple sessions. We have shared this with the training team. Include considerations of handling persons with vulnerable bone structures. We're working on including this in our de-escalation training. Training on penal codes related to people with disabilities, including Penal Code 368. Our elder abuse experts conducted an office-wide training in September. Number 8, include veterans in training, especially for people with sensory challenges. This is included in our training on implicit bias and are working on incorporating it in our de-escalation training. Collaboration with San Diego Military and Veterans Advisory Council. We're currently not collaborating with the San Diego Military and Veterans Advisory Council, but we collaborate with Veterans Affairs and other organizations in the military veteran space via our Veterans Court. Please let me know if you have any questions. So feel free to, from a timing perspective, to email me with any questions and I'll forward those over to the district attorney.
Would you be willing to forward their response so that I can go through it line by line?
I'll certainly do that.
Thank you.
Would you do that for me as well?
I'll send it to all the committee. The next item is Public Works Capital Improvement Plan update. I sent that out to everyone, so you should have that via email. And Michelle, if you want a printed copy is not going to help you either. Let me know if you have any questions, or if Jeanette, would you be able to speak with her and share any background on that?
It's not, so she's gonna read the whole report. That is not.
I understand. Let me go ahead and complete so you can have the mandatory training. This is very key. I do need to make sure that you're aware of that. How many individuals have completed their ethics training okay.
I think mine is.
So if you have the certification, your completion certification,
Send it to you.
send that to me. I'll check to see if I have it. I didn't think I had any. I may have had yours, Jeanette. But if you have not completed it, we need to complete that, as well as we're looking. It looks as though there would be sexual harassment training that would need to be completed. Sexual harassment training is required for all government officials in California. So that would be a 2-hour training. So we're confirming that to be the case, but I wanted to make sure that you're aware that that is as well coming through. The ethics training is pretty not quick, but it's pretty straightforward. December 31st, the free training that's online will go away, but there will be another training opportunity for that. We're working on what that replacement is going to be, but we want to go ahead and make sure that the committee has that. It's through the Fair Political Practices Commission.
Is there a link that you can send us for the training?
Oh, certainly. It's probably in your past history, but you'll be getting an update or a new email with that. The two items are new business, future items, agenda items, and adjournment.
I have one.
Yes.
I am super stoked. I am going to be a faculty presenter on behalf of the COPD Foundation. And yes, I'm pretty excited about that. So I am going to be in Pennsylvania on this committee's next meeting date next month. So I would ask for an excuse. So that as a burn pit veteran with new stage COPD, I'm going to be the very first veteran to present to the International Lung Forum about veterans, burn pit veterans with early stage COPD. So if you would grace me the opportunity to be excused from this committee for next month, I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that something we should do right now or next month?
There's nothing,
There's nothing.
this is for new agenda items.
I've asked that we, the item I put on the new agenda, a new item on the agenda is, I would like us to change the timing. I'd like to have this meeting be at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So there's several people that can't make it that early. We can bring it up again, we've been.
Is there anybody here that's part of that can't make it, or people that aren't here? You can't make it.
For me, it would depend on which day, it's this
I can be
day,
open on the day,
I could not make it, and I know Rakita cannot make it.
on this day, or 1 o'clock at all on any day.
Should we table it until we get council
Certainly.
response? on
Certainly,
Regina?
that's fine, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can make it earlier.
Me too.
She's a teacher and it's contract hours.
Okay, so we'll have, we'll include change of date time on the next agenda.
Am I allowed to make a comment? I'm allowed to make comments in the non-agenda portion if I don't formalize an agenda right now?
Yes,
Okay.
anybody can comment in the non-agenda, just want people to know.
Actually, okay, I'd like to put something on the agenda. I would like to discuss the gap of disability rights in our behavioral health system on the next agenda meeting. The fact that disability rights are not represented in behavioral health services. There's no ADA process, there's no service dogs, things like that. I'll elaborate next meeting.
It's now 5:01.
Okay, nothing else? Then you'll close the meeting.
Thank you all for making a quorum.
Yes.
Jessica, do you want to do this now?